Hello again, it's Jack. I'm back with video 3, and this time we're going to talk about phrasing. Well, at least try to get there. But in phrasing, there's quite a few concepts that are involved that we sort of have to have a little understanding, the first basic primary understanding, and that is physical resistance. Because resistance, this movement these gestures, that's more, less, that resistance is what makes the music physical. Because music has this sort of dynamism in it that affects me in a physical way, and I sense the resistance of the movement and then the release of the movement. And if you listen to any really great artist play, they have it all the time. And they use this resistance in a flow. And then it goes, and then it pulls back, and then it goes again. And so if you sense yourself sitting, if you find yourself sitting and you sense this sort of ebb and flow that's happening, they've affected you physically. And therefore, you want to hear them again. And the same thing can happen with your students. You can teach them how to do this and put this into their playing, their resistance. But a full-scale idea of doing resistance right off the bat, that's a little difficult and a lot to take on, and probably half of which you'll waste your time because they will not be able to pull all of that into their experience, or their consciousness of the experience, rather. Because remember, it's all about becoming more and more conscious of how we're moving, sort of waking up in a way, where if you watch a lot of people move, you can see that they're still asleep. They're still not really conscious of everything that's going on in this body of theirs. They only are aware of the more gross gestures or the more obvious things that they're doing, not the subtleties underneath all that. So it takes time, like I said the last time, it takes time. Okay, so phrasing, how do we start? Well, I like to start with just walk. Now watch how I do this walk. So I'm going to talk. Now look at the size of my step. Now say up, da, return. Notice the size of the step. I don't go up, da, dee, da, 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 dee, da, da, da. But I do this. Up, dee, da, dee, return. Dum, dee, da, dum, dee, da, da, da. Up, da, dee, da, dee. Train. Da, dee, da, da, dee, da. So that step. So this is very important that we work keeping the step, the gait rather, of your step the same. And this will give you this idea of, oh, I'm pulling, now I release. I'm pulling, and it's a very slight introduction to resistance. Very slight, but very essential. And then you talk about it as you play. As you're playing, talk about it with the students and say, can you sense with the same size step, can you sense how your body has to slow itself down and go through space with a little resistance? I'm just not letting myself go. Dee, da, dee, dum, dee, up, dee, ta, dee, ta, chain. Dee dum da dum dee dum beep dum dee da dee dum 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 da dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da da. And when you do the faster one, you will take up less space with each one, yes. And therefore, no resistance. So if I take up the same space, I have to really work hard to do that. But this, I don't. So this is least resistance. This is medium, okay, in relation to what you just did. Now up, keep the same distance this time. And you'll see when you go to the slower tempo, that's where we want to work. Okay, so we'll have the students working in a slower tempo. Da, dee, da, dee, dum, dee, da, dim, bum, ba. Dee, da, dee, dee, da, dum, dee, dum, dum. Okay, so I'm singing short phrases, I must admit. But I'm doing something at the end of each phrase because I'll play such that they will hear a silence, deliberate. And when I hear silence, I want my fingers to come off the keyboard. I want my foot to come off the pedal, more importantly, because people love that pedal. They love to keep it down. And it's probably your greatest enemy. Really, because it's so tricky to work that pedal exactly correctly. So you have to be quite a good pianist to really have a sense of how that pedal works, you know. So, but anyhow, we have the phrase. So I take a breath. So then I get them to actually inhale and then exhale through their teeth. Not this. You can't hear it. This produces a resistance in the airflow. And it's that resistance you see, so as I inhale, I lift. So now I got to teach myself to go, which isn't hard, because everybody wants to do that anyway. It's easy, but that's what we have to do as we lift. Now, then we turn for a new phrase. Now, on this phrase, I try to teach my students to focus on a specific spot. You got a spot. You have a mark that you're going toward, that it's pulling you. You're not going there, it's pulling you to it. So every time you're moving through space, you're being pulled towards something all the time. You're never just going someplace. You're always what? Leaving, like leaving the crucis, leaving the beat, leaving the floor with the foot, leaving to go, and it's pulling you there. So I'll try to get myself to focus there. This is the best thing. So if I go. Now if I want a resistance, there we go. Do one. Do this right here. I'm being pulled. I gotta have that in my imagination. I gotta make that up. It's not real. I gotta make it up. So one good way to get this resistance is with a friend. One person's here, the other person's there, and you walk. One friend walks backward as the other friend. I call it the tango position, not invented by me. Again, my teacher, Mamselle. So they're walking this way, and I'm going backward, and I'm trying not to allow them to go. So they sense this resistance as they travel. So they can get an idea of what it's like, so that when they need to, they can imagine that idea. They can imagine somebody's pushing against them as they're going. If they've had something to give them that sensation. Now, what's the something? The something is always another person. It's not an inanimate object is going to give you this same give and take another human being's going to do. So you'll feel this push against you as you're walking back, and you'll feel as you're walking forward, you'll feel this push against you as you're walking forward, because that other person is balancing themselves against you, like you're balancing yourself against her or him. It's like a mutual work. You can also get hands and then with a friend. They're each other's hands and moving and then taking a breath. That would be another great way of getting this sense of resistance. It's not the ultimate idea yet, but it's a great starter. And so, now, when you're watching this and the students are doing this, you'll see where they're just moving, and then this one goes this way and this one moving. Now you can see that in my body, there's no resistance. You can see that now, watch. They have to push themselves against the other person, and the other person's pushing themselves against you or him or her, and you get how this resistance works through space in a human way, because this other person is constantly feeding you, giving you feedback, physical feedback, and feeding your brain with these sensations of what this is like to have this happen through space. Then when we're on our own and we travel, now we conjure up in our head, in our imaginations, we pretend that somebody is there. That's what the movement's all about. You got to pretend there is a resistance when there isn't any. Now the fun thing is that you have to do very little pretending when you go up against gravity, because you will feel that right away. Oftentimes, for me to teach that idea, I'll have people sit in a chair and they'll learn, like for example, if I'm doing changing meter, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, ram, ram. So I'm going up against gravity and I feel that resistance. And it's built into the knees, into the thighs, into the hips. And you go, I can't stand this, I'm dying. Oh, poor people. So you have to be careful with that, because people do complain that, their knees are going, or they can. So it's unfortunate, but it's reality. And of course, a lot of us are sitting on the sofa all day. So the chair helps. And notice I straddle so that I'm not ever sitting in the chair now, because now I got to get up. Then I sit and I got to get up. No, I lift from the chair. Just like the cruises. Bum, dum, dee, da, da, yum, dee, da, yum, da, da, yum, ba, dee, da, yum, ba, dee. And notice I only have so much space. So because I don't have more space, I have less space, but I have more time, I gotta now resist. So my gesture becomes imbalanced. I'm using more energy and less space than I actually need. I need more space. So the space is less, but the energy builds. But what about the time? Time stays the same. Da da dee da dee da dee da dee da da dee da dee. So this resistance with your friend against gravity is transferred into the phrase. Yeah. My friend is walking backward. I'm being pulled. Another great idea is to do a horse and buggy, have somebody in front, grab your hands. Somebody in back, take your hands. Now, if you've worked with me, you've done all these things, so it's not anything new. Take the hands, and you know how to take the hand safely with the heel. Okay? So you're taking the hands, and we're gonna walk, and that person in front is gonna pull me, but the person in back is gonna lean back. And as we travel on the phrase, we both have this sense of resistance. And that's what we need. And when we play a phrase at our instrument, and I talk mostly about piano because that's really the only one I know, that concept of the phrase traveling the big picture, huge. Inda Howland was very big on this concept of this big picture, this big phrase going on throughout the whole piece, just one long gesture. And then the next layer would be the sections. Then the next layer for her would be then the phrases. And then down there lower are the little measures. So for her, the piece was huge. And as she played, conscious of all those layers. How could she do that? She experienced all those layers. She could imagine then, when she's playing, what that's felt like, not doing it, not physically holding herself back at the piano, you see, but imagining how that sensation worked, imitating what that would sound like as you play. It's very, and then of course there's all sorts of techniques you can use to affect that as well. But that's a whole nother lesson at another time. Now, another thing about the phrase is a good opportunity to teach a technique about your spotting. Put this down. Your spotting, finding a spot, having it pull you, okay? So I have the corner there of the room, and I'm having it pull me. Watch, boom, dee, da, da, okay? And I am doing a little resistance. We'd do this whole demonstration where she'd walk toward the spot and then pull it, and then and then you could see her playing with the music in this back and forth, playing with the person who's pulling her, and then Now, don't get ropes. Don't put ropes between people. This, as opposed to, you see, if I use rope, I'm not going to use different, totally different, not the experience you think it is. That's the case with most props. So now the last little technique, I'm going to change direction. So I get to the end. Da, dee, da, dee, da, da, dee, dum, ba, dee, da, dee. Notice I'm going to turn. I'm turning. But my head is doing its best to stay here. And so that when I flip around, I have a new spot. So I turn with this sense of pull away from whatever was pulling you in the first place. So if I'm going to go, let's get back here so I give myself enough room for you to see it. So I'm traveling. New direct. And as I turn, you notice I inhale, and so I could sing the next phrase. Now, singing is a great idea. You could do the shh, great idea. But the singing is even better. So you could really do this with a hand drum. You can play it and sing yourself, and have the students sing a melody. Give them a key and let them improvise anything they want to in maybe like Aeolian mode. You could have them sing in Aeolian mode or Dorian mode, and it'll all sort of like, or even pentatonic scale. That sounds good when it's all cacophony going on. So singing and doing with the phrase, with resistance in time, in space, with energy. It's a great experience and full of good ideas that go on, you could do for a week, every day. Okay, So that's going to wrap up our phrasing idea. And so the next the next video will be on, I can't remember right now, but it'll be something interesting, I hope. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.